Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a looser video than I'd like, especially for the first upload to this channel, but I wanted to get on this while it's still being discussed and hasn't been completely wiped from the conversation. So, to give a quick recap, 2 weeks ago from the time of me writing this, a high altitude balloon originating from China was spotted over the US, traveling over Montana down to South Carolina, and was promptly shot down over the Atlantic Ocean in a major overreaction that took the form of the newest, most high tech US fighter jet, the F 22, launching a $400,000 missile into a slow moving, soft target. Since the balloon was first brought up in the news, the Chinese government has maintained that it was a civilian weather balloon. Regardless of this, the American government and media ran with the story that it was carrying surveillance tech, and because of a growing sense of hysteria, some of America's best and brightest on social media and even some of our leaders thought that it was coming to drop a new COVID strain over rural America. Now, I'm not here to make any declarations as to what the balloon's purpose may have been, except that it wasn't that. It could have been a surveillance balloon, or a weather balloon, or a probe to test America's air defense response, but frankly, it doesn't really change the following hysteria that spread across the country. The media ran with the idea that this was an aggressive measure heightening tensions in the new Cold War that the US has essentially self-manufactured. The result of this has been a global resurgence in awareness of the surveillance and intelligence battle that for some reason people thought had stopped with the end of the Cold War. Now, several world powers are all of a sudden engaging in a war with self-claimed unknown objects flying above their airspace. While aliens have been denied as the culprits behind these anomalies, the states involved are maintaining that the origin of these objects is unknown, leading many to question what exactly is going on here. Well, I believe that I have the answer, or at least a possible answer, for everyone worried about a full-on alien invasion in the upcoming weeks. It is my belief that what we're seeing is a global response to the public awareness of foreign spying that came about from the media hype around the balloon. I believe that the objects being targeted are probes of some sort, likely drones or even more balloons, being used for intelligence that governments are claiming ignorance of in order to make an appeal that they are simply defending their airspace from trespassers. By claiming ignorance, it puts them in a defensible position of innocence, and the states doing the spying then cannot act outraged, and certainly cannot point fingers at the states shooting down their probes lest they be seen as the ones at fault. Articles coming out at the time of me recording this have revealed that it's not only possible, but probable, however, that these objects aren't actually of foreign origin, but may likely be civilian research projects. So what does all of this really matter? Well, first I just wanted to ground everyone saying that this was the work of aliens. Unfortunately, life isn't that exciting. Whatever the answer is probably more concerning than any of us would like to admit. Also, I wanted to clarify that I don't think this is being used to cover up for the train derailment and mass poisoning event going on in Ohio and surrounding areas right now. While I definitely agree that the news isn't sufficiently covering this issue, and the coverage that does exist is being used for typical American partisan politics over an event that will likely cause sickness for thousands in future decades with nobody being held accountable, and which also could have been prevented if the entirety of America's institutions weren't pitted against workers like the rail workers that demanded better conditions, primarily for safety purposes late last year. I don't think this is being used as a cover-up story, though. I think that this is receiving the amount of media attention it is, however, because the institutions that be just really want to make you okay with the idea of a conflict with China. Now, I don't want to blow this out of proportion and say that World War III is happening soon or anything, but with the firing of a blank Minuteman missile into the Pacific as a response to the balloon hysteria, which will likely get swept under the rug very soon if it comes out that all of the crafts involved were indeed civilian, including the alleged spy balloon, I feel that it's important that we discuss the possibility of a conflict in order to analyze this issue. Rather, I think that the tensions being generated in this stage are simply to justify what will certainly be a declining standard of living that will come from the decoupling from China that the media has been pushing for lately. I want to make a larger video in the near future about these plans for decoupling and the effect that this would have on American citizens, but for now I'll just say that the one talking point of pundits that I haven't seen anyone really talk about is the supposed need for the US to not only ease its reliance on China for goods, but even completely cut off our economy from theirs, as some of the more radical pundits have been talking about lately. Because of the huge increase in prices and shortages that would come from this move, which I think will take form largely through sanctions that will probably come not too far into the future, Americans will need to believe that their losses are actually for a good cause, rather than because of the panic that America's elite feel about China's ever growing international status. So, yeah, that's basically my take on the whole situation. Don't be scared of UFOs and aliens or Chinese spy balloons dropping a new COVID strain over rural Montana. Be concerned about your government's manipulation of information. So, like I said at the beginning, this is a bit of a shorter and looser video than I'd like to make in the future. I'm working on several scripts right now, and I just kind of wanted to get this video out there while it's still being talked about, especially given the subject matter and the focus on espionage that is so important to this story. So yeah, I'm working on a couple other videos right now that I hope to have out as soon as possible. They've been taking forever to make, kind of learning how to make these videos as I go along. So just go ahead, like and subscribe so you can see those when they come out. And yeah,